In a post-Roe America, we often assume that pro-life states are safe havens for unborn children and their mothers. But behind the headlines, a very different story is unfolding. In states like Louisiana, babies in the womb are fully protected and given the right to life. But abortion drugs are still pouring in from out of state, trafficked online, promoted by activists, and delivered to doorsteps in defiance. And it's pregnancy centers, not the abortion industry, who are left picking up the pieces. Women are showing up with complications, fear, regret, and no one else to turn to. Today, we go inside one of those centers, the LC Center, to hear what's really happening on the ground in a state with some of the strongest pro-life protections in the country. This is a frontline story of heartbreak, grit, and relentless compassion. This is Exposed: Abortion in America, Season 4, Post-Roe, The Next Battle. And you're listening to Episode 4, When Your State is Pro-Life, But the Drugs Keep Coming. Lyndsey Sikes is the Executive Director of LC Center, a pregnancy resource clinic serving women in southern Louisiana. Her team provides compassionate care, ultrasounds, counseling, supplies, ongoing support for women who've been abandoned by the abortion industry and often harmed by it. In the wake of Dobbs, they've become first responders for women impacted by out-of-state abortion networks. Lyndsey's here to tell us what's happening behind the scenes, what's working, and what still needs to change in the fight for life. Let's start with the big picture here. What does the post-Roe landscape look like in Louisiana today? So we had this amazing victory with the Dobbs decision. I mean, one that nobody ever thought could happen,
Right.
with removing
Yeah.
Roe and restoring back the right to life to children in the womb. And then Louisiana, where you live, is one of those states that's really embraced that. And your people have really embraced wanting to give rights to children in the womb. But how have your laws changed since Dobbs, and what kind of impact have you seen locally?
In Louisiana, we do have so many fantastic pro-life people involved in the government and legislators and things, but a Goliath really arose in the abortion industry. And I think that it has been very challenging for our pregnancy center to communicate how huge this giant is because of the abortion drugs by mail. So what we have seen is far worse than anything that we saw while abortion was legal in every state in the country.
And I really want to get into that because I think that's probably the major thing of what's shaking out for y'all and how that's harming women and children, of course. But before we get into the whole discussion about the drugs, can you just remind everybody what laws do y'all have in Louisiana, whether that's
Okay.
Limits on abortion, parental consent, like what does that look like?
Yeah. Well, I feel like Louisiana, we're really leading the way in the country with laws around abortion. So we're a totally banned state. There are no clinics in Louisiana. And this past fall, law also went into effect that made the abortion drugs, the mifepristone and misoprostol, controlled substances. And right now, we're the only state in the country that has that. So yeah, I feel like, right now we have a very pro-life governor, a very pro-life attorney general, and so many pro-life legislators that are law to make the mifepristone and misoprostol controlled substances. I hope that we're going to see other states, follow through with that, because in our state with those drugs, we even see it like street sold drug, and so I feel like those laws help. It's also very difficult to enforce the laws because when other states have shield laws and are protecting providers and stuff, there's also a case right now in our state where a district attorney has tried to extradite a doctor from New York.
Let's get into that because I think that story that you're talking about is one that is indicative of what's happening across the country. And we're hearing more and more of these stories. And pretty much the reason why we're finding out about these stories is because women are being harmed and presenting in the ER. So can you share specifically on that one? What were the circumstances around this woman and her child being harmed?
Right. So it happened in South Louisiana, and it was a minor who was forced to take abortion drugs. And so her mom was in trouble for it, as well as the doctor who provided the pills. And the doctor who provided the pills was in New York. And so a district attorney in South Louisiana is, trying to extradite the doctor. Of course, New York has the shield laws and stuff. So the doctor can't be sent to Louisiana to stand trial for that negligence. And, I think it's so hard too, because we see every day in a pregnancy center abortion drugs harming women, but the type, what we're seeing of the women, the way, they're frustrated, they're angry, they're depressed too. It's hard to get people to share their stories. We had a client that was forced by her partner to take abortion drugs, and we have a law now too in our state that has increased the criminal penalty for something like that, forcing someone to take the drugs. But she wasn't in a place like she wanted to prosecute the guy who left her, and forced her to do that. So that is tricky too, because it's just such a different landscape than we've ever seen before. Like the pressure by a partner or family member to take the drugs, somebody, providing it for them, that they're just like, hey, my partner gave me these drugs, I don't know that I want to take them. I mean, we see that every day. We see complications from the drugs every day too. And so it's hard because, in Louisiana, we do have laws, but it's hard to enforce them. Because
if you're seeing the complications every day, why do you think that women are scared to come forward then to share about that?
I think it's a lot of reasons. I think that there's probably a lot of shame. Like, you just want to push it behind you, and not dwell on it, not make a big deal. You don't want your name attached to something, even if it was able to be anonymous. It just would feel overwhelming to go through something like that. Mm-hmm. And it's really sad because we see so much harm being done that it's hard not to, it's hard to watch somebody experience that, Mm-hmm. And I wish that more people would speak up, but, it's just a horrific thing. I think self-managed abortion is introducing this mental health crisis like we've never seen before. And so I think there's just a lot of mental health things that come with it too, that people, they just want to put it behind them and not dwell on it. And then it's coming out, there's harm in other ways, with their mental health and addiction and eating disorders and things like that.
Yeah, this is a really good point. I mean, for eons, the pro-abortion side has said the worst thing possible would be self-managed abortion, which is what they used as a way to try to push more brick and mortar, Planned Parenthoods, abortion centers. Yeah. And now we see a huge swing. And this actually started a little bit before the Dobbs decision, where you saw literature, pro-abortion researchers and doctors trying to push studies that say, oh, self-managed abortion is the way, this is the way of the future, and the woman needs to handle this in her home with these drugs mailed from different people, doesn't even have to be a doctor. And now it sounds like what happened a few years ago is you're seeing the results of that on the ground in Louisiana. Is that accurate?
Oh, yeah. Well, like our center, we hired a professional counselor last year on staff to help us deal with this because, women aren't wanting, like we had a girl that had an incomplete abortion at a Planned Parenthood out of state. And they said, good luck, you're on your own. Like, we gave you the drugs, you're back home in Louisiana, we can't do anything to help you. And she came to us and needed medical attention, and that's what she got, and it saved her life. And but as we continue to follow up with her, she would say, like, I'm fine. But like, she was turning to alcohol and was struggling with mental health. And, sometimes the connection isn't always there, that like, I could be struggling because of this traumatic abortion experience that I've just been through.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it just sounds like you guys are now responsible for picking up the pieces of harm caused by these other forces out of state.
Yeah, we saw a girl yesterday in our office that brought her abortion pills that she had gotten from an online healthcare provider. You know, it was from supposedly a nurse practitioner, but it wasn't like brought them in our office and stuff. And it wasn't a legitimate prescription. It wasn't, you know, the proper legal prescription of the pills. And I'm like, this is so dangerous for her because this isn't a legal prescription that in our state, you know, it's illegal to have those drugs. They're controlled substances now. You know, I'm like, that's put her in jeopardy. Mm-hmm. And, you know, she was coming to us with questions like, is this safe? Are they safe? Like, what do I do? And we were just kind of, you know, wow, this is, the abortion industry, like they're definitely missing that piece. Like they're pushing the pills out, but they're losing conversations with people and stuff like that. And so we were glad that we're there. We're their place, you know, that we're in our community, we're viewed as a trusted resource, you know, for women to go. And that's what we want to be. And that's what, you know, I see pregnancy centers able to be in this hour is we want to be that safe place for women to go because they're just being so harmed by this industry. I mean, it's insane to me how these pills, like, I mean, you know, that just happened to us yesterday in the office, how these pills just got there. We have a mobile pregnancy clinic and we were out Monday and we were out earlier this week in one of the most rural parts of our state, and had a girl come on board who had taken abortion drugs. And, you know, we were just like, wow, they're everywhere, you know, and it's hard to educate like pro-life supporters that this is so prolific. Like this is everywhere. The abortion industry, they are fast, loud, and fully funded, and more than ever now is the time to really be a voice for life. You know, everybody has something in their hand to do because, you know, when we're like way out in this rural place in Northeast Louisiana and somebody has taken abortion drugs there.
Did she get on your mobile clinic in the middle of an active abortion?
Yes.
Oh, wow. So how was your clinic able to help her in that scenario?
Well, you know, we're just able to talk to her about and offer post-abortion support. And now she knows that we're there and we're coming to her community. Thank God for our mobile pregnancy clinic. There's only 2 in our state. We're the only one in Northeast Louisiana. And we just have so many rural communities with people that don't have access to transportation, resources, even the healthcare. We have a maternal healthcare desert. I mean, if this girl had complications from taking these drugs, it was going to be 30, 45 minutes in any direction before she could get anywhere that could help her.
Why did she seek y'all out?
I think she's scared. I think every woman is scared taking these drugs. I think that once they take them, you know, it's like an element of, oh no, what am I going to do? You know, or is this normal? Like, is this what's supposed to be happening or anything? You know, I think that they have a lot of feelings. I think that's why that's introducing a huge mental health crisis.
And not to ask a stupid question, I guess, but they can't just go back to the person that they got them from, right?
Right. I think the abortion industry has left women in horrible places, just like the clinic out of state that we had someone go to that they told her, like, hey, you know, you paid for your pills, you took them, you're back home in your state, and good luck to you. We can't help you. And she needed immediate medical attention. She had an incomplete abortion. She needed immediate medical attention.
It's terrifying. So that's terrifying. Why I want to ask you then, so why is it so important, or how important is it, you tell me, to meet women before they reach these drugs?
Oh, yeah. We pray about this all the time in our clinic because the spread of these pills, it's just insidious. It is everywhere in every place. And we're just always praying for strategy, in reaching women because we want women to come to us. We want to be the trusted place, that they can come and, providing support and resources to women is so huge right now, especially in our state. That's what we try to communicate a lot in our area is, we want to provide support and resources. We're not just pro baby. We're not just oh yeah, you got to have this baby. We've given out, with our mobile clinic, we've more than doubled the diapers that we give out every month. Last year, our center gave out $100,000 of material resources in our community. And that's huge. That's such an impact, and women deserve better than the abortion industry that's hey, here's some pills, self-manage this abortion at home. Good luck to you. If you have to go to the hospital, don't tell anybody what you've taken. And I feel they put a lot of fear into women too, but that tends to protect them, but can make women fearful, you need to use an alternate search engine like DuckDuckGo, the pills are coming from an unmarked envelope or whatever. And if you have a problem, don't tell anybody what you've taken. And it's just, I just feel most people have no idea what this has devolved into post-Roe.
It sounds like I'm hearing from you that the women that you guys encounter every day don't even know what they're taking or that they're going to be alone, especially if complications happen.
Yeah. Yes.
So that leads me then, I know you guys do a lot of good work, but what are some other services that you provide that are essential right now in this post-Roe landscape?
Yeah, we have, post-abortion support. We have birth mom support group that we do. We have a professional counselor on staff. I feel our mobile pregnancy clinic is really helpful in our community because our center serves about a fourth of the state, the northeast corner. So I feel when we were launching that, our staff, we just were thinking about women who were in these rural areas that didn't have resources or ability to get to our clinic, that this mobile pregnancy clinic would come to them where they are and bring hope and support to them. And this past week when we had that girl come on our mobile clinic that had taken the drugs, we were just wow, it's too late for that baby, not too late for the mom, that she can receive support and healing for that abortion experience. But now we're there. Now nobody else has to just take pills at home and be alone.
Yeah, it kind of makes me think for the longest time, pro-lifers have always known that this isn't healthcare. Anything that kills a child is not healthcare, right?
Right.
But the other side has always done a very good job of masking under the guise of healthcare for women. But now it's they're not doing it for the baby at all, but they're not even doing it for the mom or trying to act like they are. This isn't healthcare in any stretch of the imagination.
Not at all. I don't even know how the abortion industry can pretend.
Well, this is really scary. Everything you're sharing with me is really scary. And it sounds like you're in the midst of a battle, a very distinct, new, but terrifying battle. So I guess my question to you is, then what keeps you and your team going in the face of all of this cultural storm?
Oh my goodness, we're so passionate about what we do. And, the Lord gives us the strength to do it every day. We just pray every single day. The Lord gives us a strategy from heaven to, bring women here, bring them with their pills. We want to share the truth. We want to be a support for them, because it matters. We had a text last night on our after hours text line, and the girl just said, I decided to keep my baby. That's exactly why we do what we do every single day.
Do you find in some way, even though this is really horrific, but do you find in some way that this is allowing you guys to have more meaningful, more deeper connections, more trust building with the women?
Yes, for sure. I feel like our center is 46 years old, and it's just been flipped upside down, like post-Roe. It seems like maybe just like a little lamb, ministry kind of before Roe, and then post-Roe, man, it's like a lion. Like we're like at the gates of hell, every day fighting this. I mean, you're just fighting this giant that, just couldn't have imagined. I feel like the day that Roe was reversed, it was like euphoric and it was amazing, and there's just an incredible moment. But this Goliath, they just defy anybody to come stop them. The suppliers of abortion drugs, they're not scared. They're of any law. Doesn't bother them. There's shield laws. It's just so protected. And I feel like because it's a spiritual battle too, that's like an extra element in it.
Yeah, I also think too, prior to Roe being reversed or removed, I just think about all of the children that you wouldn't even have had an opportunity to know that were at risk. And now,
right,
because of this, you're knowing their names. Like you're knowing them now because women are having to come forward because of the law.
Right.
So they're seeking you guys as a way to help protect them and their child after they feel failed by the drugs in the mail.
Right.
Whereas you would have never known them before.
Yeah. We're seeing women that you're exactly right. We're seeing women we never would have seen before.
So since you're in the middle of all of this, what do you want other pro-life leaders, lawmakers, what do you want them to understand about right now and what's needed?
The FDA needs to put the regulations back on these abortion drugs immediately. Like, I can't believe we haven't done that yet, mm-hmm. Because it's so, we're just like, how are these pills just being shipped for free and you're expecting this woman to self-manage this, I think that would be a huge thing. We're excited about the defunding of Planned Parenthood. That's great. But I feel like there's a daily boots on the ground fight that pregnancy centers are in, that if, you've ever thought to yourself, like, yeah, I'm pro-life, I don't know what to do about it, or, I support pro-life stuff, but maybe I could do extra. This is the time to do it. This is the time. Mm-hmm. We need the support. We need the help because, if we not go, our center, sometimes we just say, like, we're way out on the water, like walking with the Lord out here in the water, just trying to keep faith and not drown in it, because it's expensive to run a mobile pregnancy clinic too, as well as your full brick and mortar center, But when we're out there, we're like, how can we not go? Like we were out in this rural place, and somebody came on with abortion drugs, and it's like, how can we not? We got to come back. How can we not come here?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's everywhere. It's needed, and the resources that we're able to provide our community, pro-life, being a voice for life, it can look a lot of different ways. Maybe you just add a package of diapers to your weekly grocery order and drop them off at the center, or maybe you ship something on Amazon, or maybe you partner monthly, even at $10-15 a month, or maybe you have more than that you're able to really invest in life. You're planting seed in good ground. There are 3 abortion clinics in Louisiana that closed after Roe reversed, and there's numbers of how many babies died in those clinics. But with these drugs, we have no record. We have no record of how many babies are lost through this, and how many women and men's lives are affected by that.
Right. Yeah, that is terrifying. That is a huge component to what's going on in this moment right now, like this newer moment. And I just think about, like you said, all of the children that we don't even know who've died, and all of the women who have been physically harmed or been to the ER that are harmed. And oftentimes we don't know because they're encouraged to tell the people in the ER, the medical staff, that they've had a miscarriage.
Yes.
So
yes. Our local hospital has told us, like, every shift they see someone who's dealing with the effects of the abortion drugs, whether it's hemorrhaging or miscarriage. They're seeing it every shift. And like, that's it. Like, I'm in Monroe, Louisiana. It's not a big town, you know? Mm-hmm. So that's troubling,
to say the least. You know, I've heard some people say, and it bothers me, but I want your perspective on it. I've heard some people say, well, the women today that are coming and wanting to get abortions, they're different than the women before. The women before, they were vulnerable. The women today, they're angrier. They know what they're doing. Oh, hold on a second. Sorry. They know what they're doing, and this is what, you know, I don't have any feelings towards them because they're just full on rage. You know, they just want to take the life of their kid with reckless abandon. And that bothers me because I feel like just because someone has a harder or colder exterior in the beginning, does that mean that we abandon that woman? Like, do we not help that woman? And I know you guys see it every day, but I think about friends that I've had who took this posture in the beginning and were cold and hard. And now they're some of the best advocates for life. And it's like, so we just give up on that woman? In your experience, though, if somebody does come in there and they're, you know, more callous or angry, I mean, does that mean they're less deserving of assistance? Do you think that they're less appreciative of your assistance? Like, can you speak to that part of it?
Yeah, I feel like the angry, and, you know, like I said, we pray every day that God would send us send us the angriest people, send them to us, because we want to share truth and love with them. Because, you know, sometimes the angriest ones, they're very hurt, you know, and we even have, because we have a maternal health desert in our community, you know, we're a high volume center. We see a lot of women, but we do see a lot of women because we want to be the ones having the conversations with her. We want to be the truth source. We want to be her place, you know, that's safe and trusted. And, you know, I mean, some people may not agree with that, but we want to love everyone who comes through our door.
And I think to myself, the best and happiest baby is the one whose mom is lifted up, you know, the one whose mom is ready to, you know, where she feels like somebody's in her corner.
Yes. Yeah, we had a client tell us this week that they're like, is this a family-owned business? Like, are y'all like a chain of family-owned things? Because it just feels so warm and loving in here. And we were like, wow, that's a great thought. You know, that she felt like it was family when she walked through the door.
That's really sweet. Well, listen, if somebody is listening to this right now and wants to help, what do you think? I know you listed some ideas that are really great, just some very practical things that people can do. But what's the best way that they can support pregnancy centers like yours, like right now?
Okay, I would say the number one thing to do is to pray for us every day. We need prayer because I would say post-Roe more than ever, and I've been a pregnancy center director for 20 years, more than ever, it is a spiritual battle. It is every single day is life and death like never before. So prayer support is huge. You know, you can give in different ways. You know, you could bring a pack of diapers, you know, or donate $15 a month or more if you're able to do that. You could serve in some capacity.
Right now, sounds like education is really important too.
Yes.
So would you encourage everybody to really educate themselves on the drugs, on how it's affecting pro-life states like yours?
Oh, that's the biggest thing. If you're pro-life, educate yourself, make sure your church community is aware of it and what is going on, the crisis that we are in with this. Because for sure the education about the abortion drugs, about what the pro-life landscape looks like now, that would be a huge help.
And for those who say, well, these women don't really want our help anyway, or these women are, clamoring for these drugs in the mail, to me, that sounds like such a misunderstanding of the situation. What would you say to those people who are harboring that misunderstanding?
That when women have support and resources, abortion's unnecessary. That even the hardest person, the angriest person, there's some place inside her that you're looking for a reason not to take the drugs or not go through the procedure, and I feel like pregnancy centers is just a frontline effort for women to say, hey, there is resources and support for you.
Yeah.
And if they have had an abortion, then it's never too late for healing. That is available every moment of every day for you, and I feel like that's a huge piece too that we do is the post-abortion support, because, that can bring shame and guilt, and it can also bring things you haven't thought about, like anger, addiction, sleep disturbances, just different things like that you can experience healing from. And we want to be that place for women too, because abortion is so prevalent now, and we want to be a healing place too.
As we've heard today, the legal victory of Dobbs was just the beginning. In pro-life states like Louisiana, pregnancy centers are carrying the weight and the cleanup. Because when the abortion industry loses legal ground, it doesn't disappear. It strikes back even harder. But there's another side to this story, a story of defeat, not for life, but for those who profit from death. In our next episode, we'll look at the fall of Planned Parenthood and how, without taxpayer dollars to prop them up, they're closing doors at rapid rates across the country. With the passage of Congress's One Big Beautiful Bill, we're seeing what happens when the industry is forced to stand on its own. Spoiler, it collapses. The question is, if Planned Parenthood can't keep its doors open without government money, has it only survived this long on the backs of taxpayers? Stay tuned to the next episode to find out. That's next time on Exposed, Abortion in America, Season 4, Post-Roe, The Next Battle.